2 minutes of Torah. This year is entitled The Torah's Delicate Balance Regarding Sexual Intimacy. So we have something so unique. In the Aseret Dibro, we have Lo Tanaf, the Isser of adultery. And that's a prohibition, like any other prohibition, but there's something very unique here. There are rings, protective fences around this prohibition. So you'll say Shabbat has that plenty of times. So here too we have prohibitions around to protect from the prohibition of adultery. Here the prohibitions themselves, the gezerot, so to speak, are from the Torah. So for example, not only is adultery permitted, sexual relations is asur with a married woman, with a nidah, with one's relatives, an aunt, etc. But there's layers and layers of protection here. Lo tikravu legalot erva. One cannot be involved in kissing, hugging, holding hands. That's a prohibition from the Torah, according to the Rambam. Being alone with an erva, prohibited woman, that's also a prohibition. According to many, it's from the Torah. Looking and staring at a woman who's prohibited to you for the sake of hana, sake of pleasure, that's another prohibition from the Torah. Hiror, having thoughts, sexual thoughts about a prohibited woman, is another issa from the Torah. So you have 4 prohibitions from the Torah just to protect from this prohibition of lo tinaf, of adultery, of being with an erva, prohibited woman. And you have other prohibitions, kol isha, listening to the voice, the singing voice of a woman. The list goes on. It's amazing. And of course, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. It's a very strong, strong desire that we have. And therefore, the Torah itself puts layers and layers and layers to help us avoid that most severe prohibition, which is not only a horrible, horrible violation, but could produce a mamzer, someone who has the status for life, for generations. So the Torah, understandably, it's not a chok. We see why the Torah sets up all these prohibitions. But I'm wondering if there's a danger. With all these prohibitions, a person could think, oh my gosh, this desire, fulfilling this desire is evil. It's just a negative. We must stay away. We must have abstention. And Christianity went in that direction. There must be abstention. That's the ideal level of a priest, of the Pope. And that's a danger. Judaism could go in that way also. So now on one hand, there's the danger of being involved and indulging in this prohibition. So therefore the Torah sets up rings and rings and rings around it. On the other hand, there's a danger in the other extreme. The other extreme, where that's it. Evil, abstention, this is a bad desire. God only gave it to us as an obstacle to overcome. Therefore, I think it's fascinating. Pasha Mishpatim, the Pasha right after the Aseret Dibros, Aseret Dibros is Yitro. Pasha Mishpatim starts off, and it mentions the mitzvah of She'er Ktav Onata, the mitzvah of Ona, sexual intimacy, the mitzvah of sexual intimacy with one's wife. Not that one is allowed to be with one's wife. It is a great mitzvah for a couple to be together. And it's not only a practical thing so they can have children. The mitzvah applies when a woman is pregnant already. If a woman cannot have children, Rahman al-Islam. If a woman's already after menopause. The same mitzvah of Ona applies, of marital intimacy. So I'm wondering if we have that contrast. We have the danger in Parshat Yitro of adultery with all the rings and rings and rings and protective layers around it. And then to avoid the distortion of thinking this is a horrible desire, what do? We go to Parshat Mishpatim. We go from the horrible isser of improper sexual relations to the beautiful mitzvah of proper sexual intimacy when it is between the husband and the wife. Shalom.